We are recording.
All right. Look at that. We're back.
All right, we're go live in 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, welcome to the EM Consulting Group's Sandler Rules podcast. Everyone's trying to figure out the new normal. We're working from home. We're trying to figure out how we can still support our clients, how we can still coach, how we can still teach. So our founder, our managing partner, Eric Meyer, decided that he wanted to give back and that he wanted to help people. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the next 15 minutes and go through and do a podcast around the Sandler selling system and the Sandler rules for selling. So, Eric, I don't want to lead too much into this without getting right to the meat of this. But first of all, thank you for doing this and for giving back to our clients.
Hey, thanks for setting it up, managing it. You know what my level of understanding and credentials look like with technology. So this is appreciated, Chris, that you're setting it up, managing it, making it happen.
Well, as much as you know sales, I'll manage the technology part of it. I know a little bit about sales myself, but wanted to jump right into this with you and kind of put you on the spot. There are 49 Sandler rules. And today I wanted to throw rule number 7 at you. Do you remember what rule number 7 is by heart?
I don't.
I'm going to read it to you. Nobody says you have to like prospecting. You just have to do it.
You know, I know them all. I just don't always know them in order.
No problem. I guess the reason why I brought that one up is we're always coaching in the Sandler system about our cookbooks, about our behaviors will get us the results that we're looking for. So how are you prospecting right now today where some of us are stuck home, some of us are stuck in the office, some of us are not able to go to networking meetings or sales meetings? Tell us about what you're doing and what you really think that rule number 7 means about you don't have to like prospecting, you just have to do it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different ways we can look at that rule, and where I found, some friction can be created is when it's looked at not in the right way. So here's what I mean. If you're prospecting to try to get a result, like a meeting or a sale, or a person or a company that's got problems you can solve and fix, I think in those cases we put an incredible amount of pressure on ourselves, Chris. And because we're thinking about it more from the result perspective, in almost like a counterintuitive way, it keeps us from doing it, period.
Yeah.
We're worried about what people are going to say. Are they going to accept us? Are they going to reject us? What's that conversation going to look like? So rule number 7, nobody says you have to like prospecting. You just have to do it. And I think of another one of my favorite rules, which is just do the behavior, right? That kind of ties into the rule number 7. Don't focus on the result. Focus on the behavior. The behavior, by definition, is the thing that you have complete control over doing or deciding not to do. And if we're thinking of something simple like picking up the phone and making a call, you don't have to love doing it. But if you just do it, you're going to get a better result than not doing it, right? So again, that might be one of the bigger issues. If you're thinking about prospecting with a result, it's a lot of pressure. Think about prospecting as just doing the behavior. The success is doing it. That's another way to look at it. Success is not whatever happens because you do.
There's a couple quotes that are coming to mind.
Yeah.
In our Sandler e-learning library, they have videos around some of these rules. And the video on this specific rule said, what was it? Show me somebody who likes to cold call, and I'll show you somebody that doesn't make cold calls.
Oh, yeah. No, there's 2 types of people, Chris, that like, making prospecting dials. I'll typically find at least. The first person is the sales manager that starts by saying, back when I used to do it.
Yeah.
Which, could be code for they never really did it, but they've got good stories because that's what they remember.
That's what they heard.
That's what they heard from somebody else. Or there's someone that says, I do it all the time. But yeah, then you follow them around on a day and you actually watch what they're doing. And more often than not, you're going to find that's not necessarily true. For people that do it like they're supposed to, and they do it as part of a sales plan, or they do it consistently, they understand it's a mental exercise, but you don't have to love doing it. You just have to do it.
You had made a comment once, and this is a quote that I'm going to misquote you, but basically it was something to the effect of, the day you stop prospecting is the day you've given up on your business.
Absolutely. And the problem is you don't know that day. Maybe you do, but it'll show up somewhere at some point.
So we have a interesting scenario right now. We're doing this because we're coaches and we want to continue to help our clients. We want to continue to help people. This is normally the stuff that we charge for. We want to make sure that we help people, but that we're also, making our living. Again, I want to go back to prospecting and what we talk about within our cookbooks. And I'll give a quick paraphrase of what a cookbook is. A cookbook is the daily activities, the recipe, if you will, that will get you the results you're looking for. So when our cookbook comes down to prospecting, we as Sandler employees, we look at very specific behaviors: phone calls, emails, LinkedIn, networking events, one-on-one meetings, referrals we've passed, cold walk-ins, speeches, presentations that we give. Well, right now, if we try to do a cold walk-in, we'd probably get a can of Lysol thrown at our heads. Right now, if we try to get a group together to do one of our speeches, we'd probably be frowned upon with the whole social distancing stuff that's going on.
Sure.
But the behaviors that we can control, tell us about your day. It's 5:22 on Thursday. What was your activity today, and what did you do to make sure that you were still prospecting?
Yeah, absolutely. So today I made my calls. I did my LinkedIn activity. I did my nurture calls specifically, and I ran a couple of attain calls. So there are some processes in there and acronyms that you might not recognize. So I'll break them down for everyone, just give you a quick explanation. So my LinkedIn activity, I have a certain amount of behavior that I do on a daily basis on LinkedIn. That behavior can be new connection requests. It can be posting something. It can be liking and sharing things, but it's about being active on the tool and being top of mind for those people that you're connected with.
Yeah.
And if you can think about that in sequence to making an outbound dial, let's say there's someone who I want to get a hold of and I don't know them. Maybe I don't have any other way to ask for a referral or a warm intro. So I might start off with my LinkedIn behavior by sending them a connection request. And then whether or not they accept it, hopefully they do, and often they do. But if they don't, then another behavior I might do later on that week is like something they've posted.
Yeah.
Right. And then you fast forward to, say, the week after that or 2 weeks after that. I've done a couple of these behaviors. When I finally get around to making the call and I start off and I reach out to them now, I'm making a cold call technically, right? But it's pretty common that the person that I finally get a hold of there will know who I am.
Yeah.
And they'll know who I am because of the behaviors that have been done in sequence there. So, a good example of that was the phone call I got off of, which is why I was, I apologize, a couple of minutes late to shooting this with you. And, verbatim, this person said at some point as we were wrapping it up, it's interesting. I almost feel like I knew who you were because of what you do regularly on LinkedIn. And she and I never met before, no idea who she is, short of, the phone call that we had. It's the first time we've ever spoken. But that was her comment. And that's, I think, one of the hardest things about sales prospecting. And, nobody says you have to like it, you just have to do it. Sales, and I'm getting a little off track here, but this would be another good way to think about it. Sales is a very difficult business because most of what you do doesn't produce immediate gratification. Most of what you do doesn't produce immediate gratification. Something is gaining compound interest over time if you do it consistently enough. And those prospecting behaviors are the interest and the compound interest that you're accumulating in the marketplace. So every day you don't do it, you may not get a sale, but you guarantee you're that much further behind everyone else. And every day you do it, you may not get a sale, but you guarantee you're that much further and closer to getting money.
I think you really nailed it right there. It's not going to be something, like you said, instant gratification, but it will be the behaviors, the prospecting behaviors that will set you up for future success, that will set you up for long-term success. You can't take a day off. You can't take a week off. I laugh because we were just talking back in February to class about it being a leap year, and there being an extra day on the calendar for us to have an opportunity. And now there's businesses shutting down, there's businesses on hold, there's people out of the office.
Yep.
So we need to find those inches and make them up wherever we can. And I think that one of the things we can do is just by doing the prospecting behaviors where it's not a sales call, it's a check-in. How are you?
And if you
what
think
is
about
going on in your world? What can we help you with?
the Sandler process, and you break it down, there's 7 steps in there. Step 1, 2, and 3 are really relevant for prospecting. In most cases, that's bonding and rapport, something we call upfront contracts, and then pain discovery. And a good prospecting call, a lot of times, is nothing more than the first attempt to really work on bonding and rapport, which is about creating trust and credibility. If there's no problem today that needs to be solved and fixed, if there's no pain that they have, you don't attempt to move it forward because you wanted to as the salesperson. And we're still working there on bonding and rapport. So again, this is also kind of counterintuitive. If it doesn't make sense to carry it into a meeting or an immediate next step, the worst thing we can do is try to push it there, because we're still going to get the same outcome, which is they're not ready. But even worse now, we've screwed up step 1, which is bonding and rapport. They just didn't like the experience.
Well, and we always say as salespeople, we're problem solvers.
Yep.
And if there's no problem to solve, there's no pain to solve, there's not a lot of reason for us to continue. But in this case, just that check-in might be appropriate. I just want to kind of, follow up on some of the stuff we talked about with prospecting and cookbooks. And we talk about this all the time. My cookbook is heavily weighted on networking. I'm a very social person. I'm a very outgoing person. I'm a very gregarious person. And the fact that I am going to be in Chamber of Commerce's networking events, alumni associations, nonprofits. So with this tool that we're using right here, Zoom or Ring Central Zoom meetings, I was able to host my PCN group, my Rochester Chamber Preferred Client Network group today. And we had about 20, 25 people hop on a call. We didn't get together face-to-face like we normally do. There were definitely some hiccups and some technologically challenged folks on the call that couldn't figure out mute versus phone versus web versus video, but we made it work. We passed some referrals.
Anybody turn their camera on and realize that they had forgotten to put a shirt or a pair of pants on?
No, but we did have fun kind of going around the room and like, oh, what's that on your wall and who's that?
Nice.
And, is that your diploma? That kind of stuff. We were pretty well behaved, but it's still a group of friends where I've always kind of advocated networking isn't just about, let me walk up and vomit all over you with my 30-second commercial and feature dump and let me tell you who I am. It's really about the friendships. It's really about the connections. So I think it was a little therapeutic for, the group of us that have known each other through the Rochester Chamber for years, that are friends, and we golf together and we drink together and we do philanthropies together. Just kind of take a step back, take a check-in, take a little bit of a mental health break. And then also we pass some referrals. My friend Kim Lowe from Savon, I'm helping out one of her clients on something right now. So
Beautiful.
If there's still a way to find a way to get things done, let's still get things done. And unfortunately, I'm part of the Oakland University Alumni Association's golf outing committee, and we had to have our meeting today talking about what's next. What will June look like for a potential golf outing? Well, still found it as an excuse to follow up with one of the other guys on the call and say, hey, let's talk at 1:30. Let's just see how we're doing, what's going on. And we spent a half hour on the phone, got to know more about his business, got to give him my 30-second commercial. And there's nothing there now, but definitely it's not a no. It's just not a right now. So continue to prospect, continue to check in on people, and continue to do the behaviors.
Chris, can I share something else on that topic?
Absolutely.
So, for everyone who's watching, presumptive, right? For the one person who's taking the time to tune in.
For your wife, Anna, and my daughter, Harper, that may watch this, yes.
And for anyone else who stumbles randomly upon this. So there are a fair amount of people that I work with and Chris works with who have become comfortable making things like sales calls. They may not necessarily be doing it right, and we teach them how to change it a little bit. But they become comfortable having done that activity before and doing that activity. Then there are a fair amount of other people that to even do that, as much as they know logically it makes sense, is just terrifying, right? Completely terrifying. It causes all sorts of stressors, and they could have the best plan in the world and the best methodology to execute, but picking up the phone and making that call is still just very foreign and a really big stretch for them in a comfort zone. it's okay to find other alternatives to that. It's just not okay to not do it consistently. So let me give you an example. Somewhere, anyone who's going to have to prospect interacts with people, right? And there's something that they do where they can do that interaction and they can actually enjoy it. So find where you can go meet new opportunities and you can meet new people and you can work on bonding and rapport. Figure out how you do that, which activities do you do that produce joy, and make that the start of your cookbook. Make that the start of your prospecting journey. Chris mentioned networking. I know right now, today, that might be a little difficult, but it might be easier to send an email out to somebody. You don't have to really interact with them. It's just, hit send on it, right? The rejection is minimized. It's different than having that conversation. Those emails as a prospecting activity are building interest. Post something on LinkedIn. You don't even have to interact with somebody to do that. And you're still gaining compound interest. You're getting eyeballs on your message. There are a lot of passive ways that are still proactive where you can accomplish the task, which is to get in front of people and start to develop credibility in your market.
Hypothetically, grab your boss, managing partner, and say, you want to do a podcast?
Yeah. I mean, it was either this or I was going to take my second nap for the afternoon.
This is true. I did have a game of Rat-a-tat-cat planned for my daughter and I, but I postponed that for a few minutes.
Cool.
Eric, I just want to kind of wrap this up. Don't want to go too long on today's. And I don't know if we're going to find a way to do one of these daily or bi-weekly, but, we're going to put these on our YouTube channel. As my kids always say on there, subscribe, like, and share. We're going to put some links to our website in there. I'll put a link to Eric's LinkedIn profile in there. If you want to add him, I'll add a link to my LinkedIn profile on there if you want to add mine. We'll see if, in addition to getting this on YouTube, if we can get an actual podcast channel up and running. But just kind of following up on where you can find those opportunities. I do too much of that stuff, whether it's the Flint, Auburn Hills, or Rochester Chamber, where I'm members.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. Lacrosse, Michigan, where I'm the president of the organization in our Michigan chapter. The Oakland University Alumni Association, the Brother Rice Alumni Association, my Referees Association for lacrosse, because I'm an official and I network with the guys in there. My gym, Applied Fitness Solutions in Rochester. Everyone is going stir crazy and they're used to seeing each other at classes constantly. So now there's Facebook groups and people doing virtual workouts together.
Yep.
I kind of laugh at these Facebook group advertisements that are on TV right now, but it's true. If you can find two people that do what you do, there's a chance that they might want to network with you. They might want to know what you do. They might want to know how you can help people. Don't be afraid to put it out there, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Catholic Twitter, Lax Twitter. There's all kinds of different Twitter groups and people that are out there. So yeah, I think that if we just encourage people to continue to prospect, stick to their cookbook, we can maybe get through the slow times. And maybe when we do our next rule for our next podcast, we can give people a little more insight. So do you want to preview it real quick?
No, I'm going to go with that. No, let's just keep making them a surprise. Listen,
right.
I'm not a marketer, Chris, but I think if you give too much away on what's going to happen next, people don't tune in, right? Isn't that what they do on like Love Island and stuff, right?
I think every reality show goes to commercial with the person who's about to fall off the bridge or the Lego thing was going to explode or who was going to get voted off the island. So yes, I guess that's the tease.
Should we start talking about it and then just cut to black?
Yeah. If I was more technologically savvy, I could fade this out right now. But let's do this. Let's wrap it up. Like I said, everyone, we're going to try to get this as an email out to our email list and our clients. Eric will show this on his LinkedIn. I'll share it on my LinkedIn. Eric doesn't believe in Facebook, but I'll put this on our Facebook page, and then we'll put our links in the bottom as well. And if there's anything we can help you or your business with, we're here to problem solve. We're here to help. So we definitely like to have more conversations and see who can help out.
Chris, one other last thing.
Yeah.
Anna asked why we weren't using a sign off. My old one was train hard, sell easy. You want to go with that?
Well, we have to now.
Train hard,
sell easy.
You got it.
Oh, so I have to do the second part. Okay.
We can swap again.
We'll fix it for next time.
All right.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
See ya.